ne ehyiaifo. Now so me need to me.
You are welcome to Educational Hour on Dope Muslims TV. I am Bro Musah, your instructor for today's lesson. And this is an educational program that we've organized for our brothers and sisters in the senior high school. So today's lesson, we'll be looking at, we'll be starting our lesson with subject social studies and looking at the topic, or starting with the topic, resource development and utilization in Ghana. So as part of our lesson today, our discussion or our lesson will centered on or around the meaning of resource, the meaning of development, the meaning of utilization. And when you say resource development, what it means, we will as well look at the types of resources that we have, the importance of, or let's say the type of resources that we have, the meaning of natural resources, importance of natural resources, and why natural resources have not been sufficiently exploited and utilized in Ghana. So we will go straight to what resources. Say, and let me clarify this thing. As we're having our lesson, the screen will be displaying the lesson note on the screen behind me. So let's take note of that one. So straightforward, we'll explain what resource is. And you say resource is any material available to man or society which is used in the production of goods and provision of services. We need to scrutinize this definition very well. You said any material available to man or society which is used in the production of goods and provision of services to satisfy human needs. What it means is that if there is a material which is not used in producing goods or providing services, it is not a resource. So we say resource is defined by society, not by nature. We can't say because it exists in nature so it's a resource. No, it depends on what we use that particular material for. Our ability to use that material in the production of goods or provision of services will make it a resource. So that is what resource. So any material available to man which is used in the production of goods and provision of services to satisfy human needs is what resources. And the reason why we are making this case or this point or argument that if that particular material is not used in producing goods or providing services, it can't be counted as a resource. It cannot be counted as a resource. So some years back, or a long time ago, don't put it that way, there was oil that people describe it as what? A useless fluid. Why? Because then humans have no knowledge about how to even locate the oil, how to extract, how to separate, and even the uses of the oil. They didn't know, so it was not a resource then. So that is what resource is. And remember, I also made it clear that you as well look at what development and other important concept in this topic. So development is something, or is a word that defies one single word definition. A lot of people perceive development to be something that they think they can relate to. So when we go straight to the economist sees development as the expansion of the productive capacity of a country. So when the country is able to expand or put up more factories in that space, they are expanding the productive capacity of the country. So to the economy, that's what development is. That is where they will begin to talk about their gross national products and all those things, inflation rate and all these things. That's how they measure development. And when you also look at it from the point of view of the politician, we normally hear this during elections and campaign time. They'll come and tell us, oh, we have built more schools, we have constructed more roads, we have extended electricity, we have done this and that. They also see development to mean what? Just putting up more schools, building hospitals, extending electricity, providing potable drinking water. That is what development is to what the politicians. So that's what normally they use during campaigns to convince the electorate to vote for them. But development is not only about these two things. Development holistically can be defined or explained as the improvement in the qualitative and quantitative standard of living of the people. So when a country is able to improve the quality of life and also improve or increase the quantity, as in the schools that they have, they are adding more schools, they are adding more hospitals, then you will say that is development. So when you just build hospitals and schools and you provide potable drinking water and the people are not able, or the people that you're providing these things for, they can't afford because their lives are worse off, that is not development. So development, as I just explained not long ago, is the improvement in the qualitative and quantitative standard of living of the people in a country. Development can also be explained as the process of change from a less desirable state of society to a more progressive one. So we are changing from a less desirable to a more progressive one. That is what development is. And we must also take note, development is a process. It's not something that we can start within a day and achieve or get results within that very day. It takes time. We must start from somewhere and end at somewhere. Even I don't know whether we are going to end, but it is a process. So we keep it becomes cyclical, because at any point in time there may be something that we will need. So we will keep developing. That's why even the advanced countries that we have, they still we can't say, oh, they are developed, so they are that is the end. No, they are not ending. They are adding more things each and every year. Something new will come that they need to provide to their people. To be something new they need to provide to their people. So that's development. It's cyclical. It's a process. Good. We will also look at what utilization is. Utilization is just simply how a society is able to make use of the resources at their disposal. So how a society is able to make use of the resources that they have. That's what utilization. So let's combine these words to make meaning. When we say resource development, now we know what resource is. We know development. Let's look at when we say resource development, what does that also mean, as we have given the breakdown. So resource development is a process of improving or increasing the quality and quantity of the human capital and natural resources available to a society to satisfy or to meet the needs of the people. So the process where we are improving or increasing the resources, but here I want us to break the resources down to what the human, the natural, and the capital resource that is available to a country. And what is the reason why we are improving? We are improving all these things in order to meet the needs of the people. So we are improving the quality and quantity. So as we want to make it qualitative wise, we are also talking about the quantity to meet the needs of the people in the society. That's what resource development is. So when you have a resource and you are developing, it means that you are improving its quality as well as the quantity of it. That is what resource development is. So we go straight to the types of resources that we have. So here we have three main types of resources. We have what we call the natural resource, we have the capital resource, and the human resource. So we will first of all take what natural resource is. When you say natural resource, we say natural resource. Natural resource. It gives us a kind of idea. It means that something that exists in nature, something that is provided by nature. So you can say God made in the language. So natural resource in that case is also, or can be explained as, it refers to all materials provided by nature, which help, let's also take note here, which help in the production of goods and provision of services to satisfy human needs. So when you have something that you think is by nature, it was provided by nature, but that very thing doesn't even aid in any production or doesn't even help in providing services, that can not also be classified as a resource. So let's not only look at the nature or the natural aspect of it, let's also consider the resource attached to it. So natural resource refers to any material or all materials provided by nature which help in the production of goods and provision of services for man's use. That's what natural resources. So we can go further to say that is all materials found in the natural ecosystem which man uses to satisfy his or her needs. And we can give out of examples. Examples of natural resources are mineral deposits, we have rocks, mountains, water bodies, vegetation, soil, and even land. These are some of the natural resources that we have. So we go straight to how natural resource can be classified. That is the classification of natural resource. So we can classify natural resource under two main, there are two main classifications. That is the renewable resource and non-renewable resource. Classification of natural resource. Natural resource can be classified into what? Renewable resource and non-renewable resource. Now let's understand what renewable resource is. So when you say renewable resource, these are resources that can regenerate or can replace after we have used them up. Renewable. So resources that can be replaced or that can regenerate themselves after we have used them up. So when you use that particular resource, either through natural processes or human design processes, we can what? Replace, or even if it's natural, it means it will regenerate itself. But if it's human design, it means we can replace that particular what? Resource. That is what? Renewable resource. And let's also consider this. The fact that we say a resource is renewable, it means that the resource can be replaced or can what? Regenerate itself. Does not mean that it can never be depleted. A renewable resource won't deplete or will not be depleted when the rate at which we use that resource is not higher than the rate of what? Renewal. So example, if you have a resource, let's say we have these trees that we have around us, and we keep what? Cutting these trees for our projects, but we don't plant. Plants and animals, these are what? Renewable what? Resource. But once we keep what? Cutting down or cutting these trees for our projects, and we don't plant to replace the one that we are cutting, it means that there will be a day, a time, a period, or a moment where we are not going to have the trees. But we know it was renewable. How come? It means that renewable resource can be depleted. That also brings us to what we call another classification of what? Renewable resource. If renewable resource can be depleted, it means that we can further classify renewable resource into what? Exhaustible and inexhaustible resource. I don't know if you are getting the point I'm making. We are saying renewable resources. These are resources that can replace or can replenish or regenerate itself after we have used them up. And we can have examples here. We can talk of food crops. We can talk of animals. We can talk of grassland. We can talk of forest. That was why I was making an example of what? Of trees. Forest. We can talk of air, water, fertile soil. These are all what? Renewable resources. But we are saying the fact that we are saying a resource is renewable does not mean that it cannot be depleted. And let me go back and reiterate the point I was making. We said if the rate of use is higher than the rate of what? Renewal, it means that a potential renewable resource can be or can turn into what? Or can be converted into what? Non-renewable resource. So let's go straight to look at the classification of what? Renewable resource. We have what we call exhaustible and inexhaustible. With the exhaustible, these are resources that can be depleted. These are resources, though they are renewable, but they can be depleted based on how we use them. Based on how we use them, they can what? Be depleted. So when we use our its stock is in short supply or demand, short supply. So if you use it at a rate that is far higher or that is higher than the rate of what renewal, it means it is going to what be depleted. And we can talk of plants and animals. So though renewable, but it can what? It can be depleted. So we have exhaustible, and we can also talk of inexhaustible what resource. Let me throw more light on this exhaustible, because it may confuse people that why you are saying this thing is renewable. How come that something that's renewable is what going to be depleted? The point is, if we use the resource in such a way that it exceeds or it's higher than the rate at which it can what either that replenish itself, either through natural or human process, or the rate at which it can what replace them, it means that gradually we are going to have a situation where that resource which was what renewable will then become what depleted. It means it is now what exhaustible. It can what be exhausted. And I said we can talk of plants and animals as a typical example of what of renewable or of what exhaustible what resource. Let's quickly move on to inexhaustible. Inexhaustible resource. It means these are resources that we can use them anyhow. We can use even without doing anything. These resources will never be depleted. So we are saying it's what inexhaustible. Resources that can be used over and over and over again without what depletion. It will not what be depleted. That is what inexhaustible what resource. And there are examples that we can give. But with inexhaustible resource, normally the concern is not about what its depletion, but what the quality of it. So we can't say there is no air. It's not possible. You can't say the ocean water is no more. It is not possible. But we'll be concerned about the quality of the air that we breathe in. We'll be concerned about the quality of the ocean water. So that is the point we should what we should like. That's the point I want us to get it clear, that the inexhaustible resources, these are resources that we can use over and over and over, but they will never what be depleted. And I've given examples here as the ocean water that we have, sunlight and the wind. These are what inexhaustible. The concern is only about its quality. So the quality of the air, the quality of the ocean water, that will be our concern, but not what its depletion. Because for depletion, it will never what be depleted. That is with renewable resource and its what classification. Now let's move on to the non-renewable resource. Non-renewable resource. Non-renewable resource. Now we know what renewable is, so at least we should have a fair idea. Non-renewable, these are resources that cannot be replaced. It can never what be regenerated. It can never be replenished. Non-renewable. Once you use them, or once we use them and it gets finished, that is it. So non-renewable. There are resources or natural resources that cannot regenerate or renew themselves after they have used them up. There's nothing that human beings can do to replace them. When we use them and they are finished, that is it. They are what? Non-renewable. And we have examples here as like the mineral deposit that we have. They are typical examples because they are in short what? So they are in short supply, or they are in short supply. So once we use them and it gets finished, that is it. We cannot say the oil that Ghana is having, oh, we will extract this oil, extract. The oil will be there forever and ever. It's not possible. It will get to a time where the oil wouldn't be there anymore. So mineral deposits are normally non-renewable. The gold that we have, once we mine this gold and it gets finished, that is it, that ends it. So we are saying these are what? Non-renewable. These are non-renewable. They can never be what? Regenerated or replaced. Non-renewable. Right, so now let's look at, now we know what renewable resources and what non-renewable is, and also the classification under the renewable resource. So now let's move on straight to the importance of natural resources. These are all the natural resources. So let's look at the importance of natural resources. How important natural resources are. Natural resources are very important. If you may not, or if you don't have an idea, I think before we will end everything, at least we will have a fair idea about how important natural resources are. First, it helps in the area of employment, or you can say it provides employment, natural resource. How? If I want to ask, how does natural resource provide employment? Let me give some examples here. You see, you have a lot of companies in Ghana who are here because of the resources that we have, because of the natural resource, that's why they are here. Because of the gold, that's why they are here. Because we have salt, because we have diamond, manganese, we have bauxite, because of the oil, that's why they are here. And these people are here to extract these resources, and they need human beings, they need workers, they need labor. So definitely they are going to employ. They will employ some people to help them in their activities. By virtue of the resource, that is why they are employing them. They won't employ them that they should come and look at their. No, because of the resource, that's why they are here. They are here purposely to what? To extract these resources. So once they come, they will have to employ people to what? To do that work. That is how natural resources provide what? Employment. And it also serves as what? Or it provides revenue and income to the government and individuals. See, these companies that I'm talking about, as they provide employment. You see, these companies, they pay income tax. They pay company tax. There are a lot of taxes that they pay to the government. So they are providing what? Government generate revenue through their activities. There are a lot of things that they do in the country where they have to. Sometimes they renew environmental protection agency. They have to go here. All those places that they go, they pay, and these monies all go to the government. So we are seeing it also what the natural resource that we have in the country generate revenue and income to what? The government and individuals. And individuals too. Sometimes people will go to a site or a place where there are natural resources because of the people in there, the people who are working there. Some may also engage in some trade. They may also get that one is even not. If you want to link that one to employment, it may not be a full-time employment. The people who are working also make money. They also make money. At the end of the day, they are paid. They are paid for their services. So we are saying natural resource provide or generate revenue and income to the government. We can also talk of natural resource as a source of food and water for human consumption. Natural resource, so the food that we have, the land. Now we have land, we have water. We get fishes from the water. We drink from this water. We have land that we cultivate our plants on. We harvest these plants and we consume them. Had it not been the land, I don't know where we go and plant the soil that we have. So that is how we can say natural resources provide what? Food and water for human consumption. And it also helps in the area of what? Power generation. Wind and water. The hydro is from what? Water. And sometimes the rain. Sunlight. They have the solar that they use. These are all what? Natural resources. It could be that Ghana here, we are not making use. We are not exploiting that area. We are not utilizing that. But elsewhere, they make use of that. The wind, the sunlight, the solar, the sunlight, and even the hydro. So it provides what? It helps in power generation. It also serves as a source of fat, a means for what? Transportation. A means for the water bodies that we have, the ferries that they get. And people, some go by sea, some go by air. So it also serves as what? A means of fat transportation. They are what? Natural resource. They are natural resource. And it doesn't even end there. There are a lot of importance that we can see. People, we have mountains in the country. We have say waterfalls and all those things in the country where people from outside and even internal. Tourism. It promotes tourism because people will troop in to come and have a view of nature or how beautiful the area. These are the mountains that we have. These are all what? It attracts what? Tourists. And it also, when they come in, they also spend in the country. So in the rippling effect is that it's also going to help in the area of what? Revenue generation. But because of that mountain that we have, because of that, we have Boti Falls, we have Kintampo Waterfalls. People go in there to go and have fun. It attracts what? Tourists. So that's also one of the importance of what? natural resources. And mind you, it's not like they are coming in and that's all. Because when they come, we benefit from their presence. When they come, they spend money in the country. There's no way that a tourist will come to Ghana and say, I'm not going to buy food, I'm not going to buy water, I'm not going. Even if nothing, they'll what? They'll apply the services of, or maybe they'll how do you call it? They'll take Uber. They may take transport, and they are going to pay. When they get there, they may buy food, whatever, water. They will pay. So it's going to what? Help with what? Revenue generation. That is also one point that we can explain. But let's also look at one of the importance of natural resources. It serves as what? A medicine for our health needs. When you are sick, let me take it again. As what? Medicine for health what needs. The herbs, the plants that we have, medicinal purposes, natural resources. So when you are sick, you go to the bush or the forest. You get they may tell you that neem tree, take the leaves, the stem, the root, whatever, and boil it for some couple of some minutes, hours, then drink. And even most of these medicines that we buy from the drugstores, some of these medicines are made from what? These herbs. So we are saying natural resource also helps in that regard. It helps for what? Medicinal purposes. That's one of the importance of what? Natural resource. So now we know all this importance of natural resource that we have explained. There may be more. And let me bring in this. This is a learning platform. So if there's any question that you have, if there's something that you don't understand, you can drop your questions in the comment box, and we are going to respond to all questions. We are doing this to benefit our brothers and sisters. We are not here to show that we know. We are all learners. We are learning. So even if there's something that you disagree with me, it could be that maybe I've made a statement that you don't agree with me, you are free to bring your ideas. Your ideas, your questions are welcome. So when you get this video, I'll also entreat all of you to share. Let your sisters and brothers in the senior high school, let them have this, so that they can also make use of the platform that we have created. So fast forward, I was talking about the importance of natural resource. Let me add one more so that we can move on to the next on the item. So natural resource also serve as a source of raw material for industries. Good. So most of the finished goods that we have, that we use in our various houses, it was once a raw material that they used in producing that product. So we are saying natural resource serve as a source of raw material for industries. So you have your furniture from the timber that you have. So whatever finished product that you have was a raw material that was used in producing that kind of product. So we are saying natural resource that not only provide employment, serve as a source of drinking water and food, that not only help in revenue generation, that not only attract serve as a tourist attraction or promote tourism, serve as a means to transportation, but it also serve as a source of raw materials, natural resources. Alright, so let's look at, so in spite of all these benefits, all this importance that we have, or that we know that natural resources brings to a country, let's ask ourselves, why is it that Ghana and most of the African countries, it appears they are not benefiting from the natural resource at all? If really natural resource provide employment for power generation in the area of sunlight, wind and water, why do we have this? Or why have we experienced doing so in Ghana? Why is it that a lot of the youth are unemployed? If natural resource also helps or serves as a source of raw material, why is it that we keep importing? So we are going to look at that. So we are going to look at the why why natural resources or have not been able to, or Ghana as a country have not been able to sufficiently exploited and utilize our natural resources. So why natural resources have not been sufficiently exploited and utilized in Ghana? Why natural resources have not been sufficiently exploited and utilized in Ghana? So we are going to look at the reason why we are not getting all this importance. First, we can talk of the educational system. So you say poor educational system in the sense that the kind of education that we provide is just about knowledge, how you able to speak good English. So in Ghana here, if you are able to speak good English, they will tell you that, hey, he or she is a very brilliant, intelligent student. Why? The person can speak very good English, but the person may not be having any skill. They can't use their hands. They don't have any. They are not skilled. The only thing they can do is to speak good English. So you see, the kind of education that we're providing is only knowledge-based. Knowledge, you memorize all the big grammar, you come and say it. But when you give us the practicality of it, then we are stuck. We can't do. So we are providing knowledge-based education without practical and vocational skills. But these resources that we have needs people with the technical know-how, so that they'll be able to turn these natural resources. But if you speak good English, how does it convert? How does good English convert timber to furniture? It's not possible. How can you say good English will convert? Will use sunlight for solar panel? How can good English use wind for windmill? It doesn't happen. So we need to refocus the education that we provide. So the point here is the poor educational system that we have in the country. That when you speak English and you get it wrong, they'll be laughing at you, thinking you are dunderhead, you don't know anything. Meanwhile, it could be that there's something that you can do. You have a skill. You have a skill set. You can use your hands and whatever, and even your intellect to do something. But it's all about knowledge, no practical. And that's the reason why we've not been able to sufficiently exploit and utilize our resources that we have. And so the first point may have a link with the second one. So as we are saying, poor education system is one of the reasons. We can as well talk about lack or inadequate, not even lack. If we say lack, that means I'm going too far. Inadequate skilled personnel. And you see that because of the education that we provide, that's the reason why we have a lot of people with book knowledge. So inadequate skilled personnel. People with the technical know-how are not adequate in the system. They are not adequate. We have a few of them. We need people with this technical know-how, the expertise, so that they'll be able to exploit these resources, so they'll be able to turn these natural resources. Remember, we said these natural resources are provided by nature. They exist in nature, so they are in natural form. You have to add something to it so that you'll be able to make use of it. But we have a labor force that is not all that skilled. And even the few ones that we have, they are inadequate. Don't put it that way. Inadequate skilled personnel. That's the reason why with the timber that we have, we still export raw cocoa, timber raw. Every resource that we have, or every material that we have in the country that we could have add value to it, we still export them in raw. One will say, and let's take this. You see, when Ghana discovered oil, this example that we can relate to proper. When Ghana discovered oil, that time we had no Ghanaian who was, even if we didn't have the skilled person, the people who would be able to extract this oil. So you understand the point I'm making, that inadequate skilled personnel is one of the reasons why, in the midst of all these resources that we have, these natural resources, we've not been able to utilize them. Good. And we can as well talk of inadequate capital. See, you can have the people, right? You can have the people, but if the capital adequacy, if you don't have enough capital, or if you don't have capital, see, raw material alone wouldn't be able to turn itself into finished goods. You need to add something to it. So if you have raw material and you don't have the tools, how do you then turn the raw material into finished goods? So you have timber, and you don't have anything that you can use, the tools that they use in order to what process this timber into what furniture, you don't have them, and you don't also have money to purchase. You see, so the capital is not only about money. You may think that it's about money, not money alone, but money is also a capital. It's a capital resource. But the tools, the factories, these industries that's going to turn, these industries will turn these raw materials into finished goods. So if we don't have adequate capital, it means that we are kind of handicapped. So we won't be able to what exploit and utilize the natural resources that is at our disposal. We have them all right, but no capital resource to what to turn these raw materials into what finished goods. So inadequate capital is also one of the reasons why we can say Ghana have not been able to what exploit and utilize our natural resources. We can also talk about brain drain of professionals. So see, in the second point, I was talking about inadequate skilled personnel. The skilled personnel that we have, they are not adequate. But the few that we have to, they are leaving. They are going outside. That's why we call the brain drain. So the few professionals that we have in the country that we are even complaining about, they are even crying that they are not adequate. The few of them that we have to, they are leaving to go and apply their trade elsewhere. It could be that because of the service, the condition of service that they find themselves in, they are not happy. The government is not able to provide for their services, so they want elsewhere where they are going to make a lot of money. And let's not think that it's only about money. Sometimes the working environment, if you're a doctor and you go to the hospital and there are no machines to work, you see, how then do you operate? The tools that you require, that you need to perform your duties are not there. So you would like to go where you think the environment is very conducive. You have all the machines, the equipment, everything that is going to aid you in order to do your work. So here we say brain drain of professionals. Brain drain of professionals. The professionals that we have who are going to help turn these natural resources into finished products, they are leaving us. It's also one of the reasons why, in the midst of all these natural resources, we are still wallowing in poverty. We are still going out there to go and beg for money. When COVID came, you realize what happened. 3 weeks of lockdown, and the economy was crashing. We need to go to IMF to go and plead for money. So that is the condition that we find ourselves in as a country. And most of the African countries, they are also in the same condition. So brain drain of our professionals and low level of technological use. The use of technology in this country is very low. And these resources, as we all know, they are in their natural state. So we need to apply technology. We need to use tools, equipment. We need to use this technology to exploit these resources. And this is the case or situation where we are not doing such, or we are not doing that. It means it is not helping us to exploit these resources. We have land, which is a natural resource. And as we all know, our farmers still use the cutlass and hoe in weeding to clear their land in order to plant, and even harvesting, they harvest with their hand. We are still using manpower, so we are not able to make the most use of the land as a natural resource. So that is also one. This is just one example that I'm making, but there are a lot of natural resources that we have that, if we are able to make use of technology, we'll be able to exploit it and utilize that resource very well, but we are not doing so. There's also poor infrastructure facilities that we have in the country. See, so they are goods, they are farm produced in the village or in the farm that, because of the poor road network that we have, they are not able to transport this farm produce to the market for good to buy. Some of them will remain in the bush and rots. There are other facilities that we are lacking. So it is not making it very easy for us to exploit the natural resource that we have. Alright, so these are some of the reasons why we can see Ghana as a country, and even it also applies in most of the African countries. We've not been able to exploit and utilize our natural resources. So let me take this in legacy. I want this is a learning platform, so we will entreat each and everyone to cope with us. Bring your ideas. If there's question, ask in the comment box. You respond to all your questions, and kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel, that's Dope Muslims TV. Become part of the Dope family. We are a one big family. Be part of it. Subscribe, like, watch our videos, and share. The most important thing, share, so that more of the educational program that we are going to we are bringing, you'll be able to benefit, and even if not directly, at least your colleagues or your brothers and sisters can also benefit from it. So to bring our lesson to an end, we have to go back and have a recap of whatever we have discussed today. So we talked about resource. We explained what a resource is, and we said a resource is any material available to man which is used in the production of goods and provision of our services. And we also made a case or a point that resource is defined by society, not by nature. Because if society is not able to make use of a material, that material wouldn't become a resource. But until we use that material in producing goods or providing services, it wouldn't become a resource. And we explain development to mean the qualitative and quantitative improvement in the standard of living of the people in society, or the process of change from a less desirable kind of society to a more progressive one. We also explain utilization to mean the use of resources to satisfy human needs, or how society is able to use its resources to satisfy their needs, is what utilization. And we went on to explain what resource development is. And we said resource development is a process of improving or increasing the quality and quantity of the human resource, or the quality and quantity of the human, natural and capital resources available to a society or a country to satisfy the needs of the people. That's what resource development is. And we were able to classify, or we went on to explain or talk about the types of resources that we have. And we said we have three main types of resources. That is natural resources, capital resources, and human resources. And we said natural resource is all materials provided by nature. So any material that exists in the natural ecosystem, which is used in the production of goods and provision of services, natural resource. And we classified, we made a case, a point. We argued that natural resource can be classified into two, or can be grouped into two. That's renewable resource and non-renewable resource. And we said renewable resource is the type of resource that can be replaced or can regenerate itself after it has been used up, or when we use them up, we can either replace it or it can regenerate itself. The replacement can be a human process, design process, but the regeneration can be natural processes. And we said the fact that not a resource renewable does not mean that it cannot be depleted, because if you use a renewable resource at a rate that is higher than the rate of renewal, it means that there will be a period, or there will be a point in time where that particular resource will be depleted. And I made a point that we have plants and animals, and even when we cut trees for our projects and we don't plant more trees, we will get to a period where our forests will be depleted. We wouldn't be having the forest anymore. And we said that this leads us to another classification of renewable resource. That's exhaustible resource and inexhaustible resource. And I said this exhaustible resource, these are the natural resources, or the resources that can be exhausted, or that can be depleted. When we use them, they can get finished. Depending on how we use them. Because if we use it, or we use these resources at a rate that is higher than the rate of renewal, we will get to a point where the resource wouldn't be there anymore. And we mentioned plants and animals as a typical example. And we went on to explain what inexhaustible resources are, and say these are the resources that we can use over and over and over and over. They will never be depleted, because they are in abundant supply. They are just there. And we talk of sunlight, wind, air, the ocean water. These are inexhaustible. These are resources but the only concern about inexhaustible resources is just the quality of it. We are concerned about the quality of the air, but not the quantity. The quality of the ocean water, not the quantity. So inexhaustible resource, when we can use over and over, it wouldn't be, they don't deplete. They are not going to be depleted. It won't finish. but the concern is really about what? The quality of that particular resource. And we also talked about what non-renewable resource is, or what non-renewable resources are. And we said these are resources that cannot be replaced. These are resources that cannot regenerate themselves after they have been used up. And a typical example, as we stated, were mineral deposits. The crude oil that we have, these are what? Non-renewable. When we use them and they get finished, that ends it. And we went on to explain the importance of natural resources. We said it provides employment, source of what? Food and water for human consumption. Talked about source of what? Raw materials for industries. We also explained natural resources promoting what? Tourism. Talked about it helping in power generation, as in water and what? Wind and sun, helping power generation, and as a means of what? Transportation, water bodies. People also what? Travel on the sea. These are what? Some of the importance of what? Natural resources. And we said it also helps what? Revenue generation to the government and what? The individuals, as it is creating what? Employment. These are some of the importance that we explained, and we went on to explain why Ghana as a country, and even most of the African countries, they have not been able to what? Utilize and exploit their natural resources. And we said because of the poor educational system that we have, and this has led to what? Inadequate skilled what? Personnel, the low technological use, the poor infrastructure we have as a country, and inadequate capital, and as well as the brain drain of professionals. These are some of the reasons why we explain, or these are some of the reasons why we think and we firmly believe that Ghana as a country have not been able to what? Sufficiently utilize and exploited what? Its natural what? Resources. Right, so this brings us the end of our lesson for today. And drop all your questions in the comment box. Subscribe to Dope Muslim TV on YouTube.
Assalamu alaikum, lovely people. Dope Muslims TV. Dope Muslim TV. Everything you want her to do, she can do it. We don't force her into marriage, especially.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
أنت نور الله فجأة